This is in response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article on Friday, November, 6th, 2015, Austerity's Grim Legacy. Now, it's so important to keep talking about what has been going on monetarily wise in the United States and overseas in Europe for the last 6.5 years. Most of the Obama administration, part of it was from the George Bush administration, and its significance for what's going to happen in the future. Now, in 2008, we had what was referred to as the beginning of the Great Recession. And what went down? Bear Stearns went down, the Lehman Brothers went down, the stock market took an incredible tank. Bush was losing up to 800,000 jobs per month. When Obama came in, the same thing was happening. But the monetary policy became what they called quantitative easing. That's one of the many terms of it. And, basically it worked. It did something that needed to be done. It added money into the economy. It kept interest rates low. It kept inflation low. And there was no Great Depression. There was a Great Recession, but no Great Depression. And remember, wages for the average working person have not gone up since then. And I know that Billy O'Reilly likes to talk about that, but that has nothing to do with Obama. It has to do with the with the Republicans basically not wanting to do anything to make the economy work better. And the reason for that is around 2010, they basically started, and of course this was going on overseas too, they started screaming about deficits. And standard economic theory basically says when you're in a free fall, you worry about unemployment, you don't worry about deficits. And remember, inflation rate is very, very low, interest rates are very, very low, perfect time for governments to borrow money to invest in infrastructure, and that helps get the economy going again. And what we have seen since then, because there has been low interest rates, there has been very, very low inflation, we have seen an increase in jobs. We have seen an increase in jobs, especially under the Obama administration. I believe we're getting close to about 9 million jobs. Now, you take away the ones that were lost at the beginning of the administration, I think it's over 6 million or 7 million. I don't know the exact figure. But remember, George Bush only had a cumulative 1 million jobs created in his thing. Now, but what has gone on is that the Republicans have been screaming right and left to anyone who hear how important it is to reduce taxes, to get the deficit under control, and how to free the enterprise of the American business from regulation and environmental restrictions. Right? They've been screaming this all over the place. I remember Eric Cantor all over the place saying job creators, job creators. And we know it was all bogus. But they were considered what Dr. Krugman referred to as the very serious people. They really didn't give a shit about anything. They just wanted to get reelected. They wanted to get more money to the rich people. They didn't care about the average working person in any way, shape, or form. They were wrong in 2008. They were wrong in 2010, and they're wrong right now. But what is this thing? They're not ready, aim, fire. They're fire, aim, ready. They fire first from the hip. And will say virtually anything about what is not going right with the economy. Now, the reason why this is very, very important is we got an election coming up, and on the Republican side, outside of Trump basically saying we need to keep Social Security or to increase Social Security, every single one of them, including Trump, wants lower taxes. Lower taxes on the rich. They're not really saying much about the poor. And to decrease regulation, especially on the Environmental Protection Agency and all this onerous burdenness of regulation. But here's the thing. Inflation has been low this whole time. Interest rates have been low this whole time. Jobs have been increasing this whole time. But the American public and overseas, they don't feel that they're really out of it yet, because so many people went so far underwater, they're barely scratching the surface. And so many people, like myself, I had to take a wage cut in 2002 when I got laid off for the second time, laid off in 2001 and in 2002. So barely scratching the surface of what's going on. in terms of getting back to what you used to have been made. But what do the Republicans want? They want more austerity measures. These very serious people, they're not, it's the ideology that they're believing in and not the economic facts that support what we need to do. Is we need to have more stimulation. And what Dr. Krugman pointed out today is that yes, even today the jobs created what, 200 some odd thousand. They only thought they're going to be 180. There were 220. I can't remember the exact amount. But hey, that compare that to what was going on in the Bush administration. But people don't feel it because wages are still down. People had a lot of debt that they had incurred, and the other problem is that this austerity that has been going on, it has serious long-term effects. And we need to move away from this as soon as possible. We need to because inflation and interest rates are still low. We can borrow astronomical amounts of money with virtually no interest rates at all. And we need to do that sooner rather than later. And the best thing we need to do is to run away from this austerity thing. But all we're seeing is the Republicans, and of course, who's it being led by right now? The huckster, the jiver, the Catholic hater, which is Paul Ryan, who basically wants to go back, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, cut Social Security, earned benefits. He wants to decrease those things and create more austerity measures because the deficit is so great. And of course, we've been running around with it all along. And of course, these guys have been screaming for 6 years how terrible the deficits are. And hey, we're doing just fine. We need to increase our investments, not decrease our investments. And the thing is, the various serious people, they're talking this way, but they're meaning something way over here. And they're talking outside their mouths. They're complete snake oil salesmen because what we have found year in and year out is that cutting taxes has never, ever, paid for themselves. There has never been an instance in the history of the world where decreasing taxes have actually paid for themselves. But the various serious people, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, who else is running this? And then everyone who's running for president on the Republican side is going to be lockstep, in sync, that we need to, buckle up and cut the deficit. And of course, the big thing about all this is that's what's hurting jobs. That's what's hurting the average working American person. And we need to look at long-term strategic strategies to get out of this. And we're not seeing anything serious on the other side.